Why learn?
Well, that's the $1,000,000 question. We're so used to going on the kind of conveyor belt of you go to school and then you go to whatever comes next, college or university or whatever, and we go somewhere to learn. But it's always interesting to just take a step back and re-ask ourselves the question about what it's all for. And like I always ask people, why learn at all? Like everyone will agree that learning is good, but why is it good? Like if we were to unpack it for a moment, like what do we actually arrive at? And a lot of the answers I've gotten is that, learning is good for, learning because you grow. But then you fall into the same trap. Why is growing good? Like, you want to improve, you want to change, and like that's why you learn. And they're all very, very valid answers, obviously. When I reflect on why I learn, I can't help but think about how you really want to learn normally so you can go on a particular kind of journey. So if you want this comes back to what we're talking about in the last session about every consumer decision you make, or every decision you make is moving you away from or towards an image of you want to have of yourself. So when we learn, we normally want to opt into something. Like we want to learn how to be a better salesman so we can um, operate, a better business or be a better kind of team member, and maybe climb the ranks or take more pride. If you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, or you want to go on that particular kind of journey of being the lawyer or the doctor, that's why you want to learn whatever is required to become that. So I think it boils down to you actually learn to go on a particular type of journey, right? You learn based on what sort of journey you want to go on. And the other interesting thing is that really the quality of your learning will be the quality of your journey. As you go, you're picking things up, and as you're picking things up, you you input that information, and that changes the way you're now behaving, and it changes the quality of your journey. In the same way, you learn lessons in life. For example, what I wrote about in 18 and Lost, I learned all these lessons. Now I apply them, right? That impacts my journey. For example, I only do what only I can do. I'm not just going to pick any random thing to work on. I'm going to think about what can I do that's unique. And that impacts the whole quality of my journey. That's why the learning is so valuable. The interesting thing, therefore, so if the learning equals the journey, the interesting thing is that the journey would actually be your life. When you making decisions at the end of high school and everyone says, what do you want to do, after high school? It's almost asking, what direction do you really want to start your life in, your self-directed life? So for me, the journey is your life. Like the journey I've been on for the past 7, 8, 9 years is not something I've done in a vacuum. It's literally been my life. And it's been impacted, of course, by what I've learned. Every decision is based on learning. So if the learning equals the journey and the journey equals the life, then your learning actually equals your life. Now you can boil that all the way back to what we were talking about with the whole finite kind of the ends that are always put in education with graduation and course completion and all these things. And we talked about, I was talking about that yesterday with you about uh, when you're, why learn this thing? Why learn maths? Why learn trigonometry? Why do I want to know it? So you can get a mark, so you can go do something. We've created those as necessary steps on the journey. You could chuck anything in there in theory. You could chuck anything in there. You could talk about optimizing bandwidth. You could talk about, um, hardware electronics. You could chuck anything in there and say, this is a prerequisite to getting to college. And people will do it. They'll try to do it because they're trying to make their journey happen. So what we've done, we've become so familiar with these things that we learned in high school. And so these are the things to learn so you can go do X and Y. And we very rarely think about learning from first principles, which is to strip it all back and think about, why learn. And that's why people struggle to apply themselves in so many situations, because they're pressured, or it's normal to say study trigonometry or do the exams that line the way. But the whole way, your subconscious is thinking, why am I doing this? And that's why it gives you so much resistance.